A Russian fighter jet just downed a U.S. drone over the Baltic Sea. Within seconds, Russian missile batteries locked onto 3 American warships. The crews heard a sound no sailor ever wants to hear. A high-pitched alarm telling them they had seconds to live. Russia had just thrown the first punch. What happened next is something their generals are still trying to explain. To understand what the U.S. just deployed, you need to understand one problem NATO has always had. Russia knows exactly where NATO's weapons are. Satellites, spy planes, years of surveillance. If you can see a missile battery, you can destroy it before it ever fires. The U.S. just solved that problem, and the solution looks like an ordinary shipping truck. Act 1. The invisible Arsenal 3 C-17 transport planes crossed into Polish airspace under heavy cloud cover. Their cargo wasn't tanks, it wasn't troops, it was the Typhon weapon system, a launcher disguised as a cargo truck that carries Tomahawk cruise missiles and SM-6 interceptors. Russian satellites swept the area. They saw trucks, just trucks. But each one of those trucks was a mobile fortress pointed at Moscow. The U.S. didn't build a wall. They hid the wall inside the traffic. Act 2. Russia strikes first. From a concrete pad deep inside a Russian forest, 3 Iskander-M ballistic missiles launched simultaneously. These are not ordinary rockets. They don't fly in a predictable arc. They maneuver. They dodge. They're designed specifically to kill missile defense systems. Russia's plan was surgical. Blind the U.S. with electronic jamming, then send in the missiles while American radar was deaf. The Kraska-4 electronic warfare system activated, flooding the GPS spectrum with noise. For a moment, the U.S. was flying blind. Act 3, the shield holds. Here's what Russia didn't account for. The U.S. Patriot radar switched into a mode called burn-through, concentrating every watt of power into a single focused beam so intense it cut straight through electronic jamming. A split second of clean data. That's all it needed. PAC-3 MSE interceptors launched, not to explode near the Russian missiles, but to physically collide with them at a combined closing speed of over 7,000 miles per hour. One missile was destroyed, then a second. The last Russian warhead made it to within 2,000 feet of the U.S. battery before an SM-6, fired from a hidden truck 50 miles away and guided by an F-35 above, dove straight into it from above. The U.S. battery felt the shock wave in its steel frame, but it was still standing. Act 4. Russia tries the sea. The Russian command made a decision: go around. 4 Steregushchiy-class corvettes pushed out of the harbor into the Baltic Sea, fast, heavily armed, and carrying cruise missiles that could hit NATO positions from a direction no one was watching. They never made it. Hidden in a Polish tree line, 10 miles from the water, were trucks carrying the Naval Strike Missile, the NSM. What makes the NSM terrifying is simple. It flies 6 feet above the waves. At that altitude, the curvature of the Earth hides it from radar. To the Russian ships, those missiles didn't exist until they were already inside their defense perimeter. The lead corvette was hit twice: bridge, then engine room. A second ship launched aluminum chaff to confuse the missiles. The NSM's infrared camera ignored it entirely. It locked onto heat, not metal. That ship's magazine detonated. The explosion was visible from satellite 200 miles above. In under 3 minutes, Russia's naval breakout was gone. Act 5. The secret no one talks about. Here's where it gets interesting. After the battle, Russian commanders did what any military would do. They tried to trace the source of the fire to destroy it. They couldn't find it, because the SM-6 missile has a capability almost no one talks about, called engage on remote. The truck that launches the missile doesn't have to guide it. It fires, and then hands off control to an F-35, a drone, or any platform miles away. The truck can turn off its radar, drive away, and disappear. The missile is already in the air, being steered by a jet it has never met. You can destroy the truck. But the missile is already being guided by a ghost in the sky. Russia came into this engagement with a clear strategy: see, jam, strike. The U.S. answered with a system designed around one idea: if you can't be seen, you can't be stopped. Every weapon in this engagement, the Typhon, the NSM, the SM-6, was built around the same philosophy. Don't build a bigger wall. Build a wall they can't find. What we witnessed wasn't just a military exchange, it was a preview of how modern warfare works. And Russia is still trying to catch up. If this breakdown helped you understand what's actually happening out there, subscribe. We break down military technology in plain English every week.